Welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Anae and Mashira. Please make sure you take the time to subscribe, like, and hit the post notifications so you can stay up to date with all podcasts that I post.
Going back into it. Welcome back to the 5th episode of Let's Talk About It with Anae and Mashira. I have my special guest here, Miss Ken. I'm super excited about this conversation. We have karma, and then we have like the karmic cycle. So let's talk about it. What is karma to you?
It's real simple. Like what you put out, what you get. Like that's how I see karma.
What you put out is what you get back. I mean, I see it the same way. To be honest with you, I feel like a lot of people expect karma to be, exactly what you did. So, for instance, let's say your partner cheated on you. So you think their karma is that they're going to get cheated on. I don't think karma necessarily works like that. If you put out negative energy, it's going to come back in whatever way that it comes back. And I know personally, I don't know about you, but I done dealt with karma before. Have you ever dealt with karma?
Karma has definitely happened for me. And I feel like I get a lot of unintentional karma, like things that I've put out unintentionally, and it's just come back to me because it's just kind of like I didn't recognize that I was unintentionally doing something to somebody to make them feel a certain way, and then it's come back for me to see, open my eyes so that I no longer move that way.
Do you have like any examples?
Let's see a good one.
I have a really clear example.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I've only been in 2 relationships. I feel like in my first relationship, like we weren't the best partners, and I don't think that we were supposed to be together like long term. I feel like we both taught each other stuff. And like for me, my bigger karma was the fact that she did care about me a lot, but I just didn't appreciate her as much as I should have. And I didn't realize that until I got my second relationship, and I dealt with someone where like my first girlfriend was doing a lot for me and just trying to be there for me, and I didn't appreciate it. And I didn't realize how bad that was until my second relationship, and I went through that with someone, right? And like experiencing that, felt like I was dealing with myself from my first relationship. Yeah. It was a lesson that I learned, and I feel like when you don't learn a lesson, you end up in a karmic cycle where you deal with that over and over and over again. With other people, you think, oh, I'm going to move on to someone else, and it's going to be better, and it's like, it's not. It's never better until you learn your lesson and you actually do the work that it takes to fix that part of your inner self.
Exactly.
The true work.
Exactly. Speaking about karmic cycles, I think that goes back to what I was saying about how people think like, why is this always happening to me? Why am I always finding this type of lover? Why am I always doing so much and I'm not getting friends that's showing up for me or doing so much for me? And it's all inner work. It's all has to do with you, and you're just not seeing it. Like, I'm big on a lot of self-work when it comes to karmic cycles, because I feel like for me, especially in relationships, I've been through a lot of the same things that I just kind of like put in the back burner because I'm just like, like I'm a great person. It's just, you're shitty. It is what it is. But in all actuality, there's something that I'm lacking in myself. You have to figure those out, or you're going to keep going through it. You're going to keep going through it. It's going to keep showing up, and you're wasting time being defeated when you could have just got into the work. 22 is really when I started to understand I have like karmic cycles that I have to kind of get into. Like, I come from a family that's really self-aware. We have conversations that I don't think a lot of families have collectively. I think that there's always a black sheep of a family, and like we're all the black sheep because
I love that.
Like we're all the black sheep. When I was 22, that's when I really tried to start sitting with self, because there's only so much that they can tell you that's happening to you, as opposed to you being the one to like, this is what I'm in. This is what's happening to me. Where do I go from here? That's my favorite question. Where do I go from here? Yeah.
Alright, so like, just because it's on point with everything, like in that situation with that type of thinking, how do you go about it when it's like, okay, it's maybe not flawed people that you invite in, but maybe a flawed thought process that you are harboring that invites these flawed people.
Can I jump into that?
Go ahead.
I definitely agree with you, but I feel like to an extent, it's not always like we're inviting shitty people into our lives versus we are attracting them. Even within myself, I didn't realize how much healing I had to do and how much of people I was dealing with was in me. until I went through the healing process. And I feel like a lot of people, they victimize themselves instead of confronting themselves and understanding that there is a reason this person or these kind of people keep coming into your life. There is work that you have to do that you're not doing, that you think you're good. You know, you think you're good in this area and all of this stuff, but it's like you're really not. When you take that time to actually start to heal yourself and face who you are, you realize, okay, there is parts of me in these people. That's not saying all of you is in that person, but I know for me, I had to realize I'm not like this person. Like, I'm not this person, but there's parts of me in this person that I don't want to deal with anymore, which means that I don't want to deal with that within myself anymore, which means that I now have to heal that. Exactly. And I have to replace it with something else.
Exactly. Or just completely remove it. Like, it doesn't even have to be replacing it, just completely removing it. But for going back to your question, I just feel like you said like the flawed thought and everything like that. I think that that's the whole point of that process is the thought process of it, because like you've already recognized that it's a flawed thought and this is what is attracting flawed people. So it's just like, I feel like for me, my focus would have been how do I get rid of this type of thinking? Like, and why is it like no longer serving me? It's no longer serving you because you're attracting flawed people and you don't want that around you anymore. So at this point, like, I need to remove this thought. This is not how I move. Like, you know, it's easier said out loud than done, but you have to put in the work to want it to be done. Like,
so like when you going into that evaluation process, what does that look like for you?
I like to go back to the root of all of that, right? The root of all of that is yourself. When you remove all of the tools, like when you remove everything, like you remove the journaling, I could call my friend right now and be like, this is what's going on. When you remove all of that, you're with yourself. And there's some sort of point in life where you have to get to this stillness and recognize within yourself, like, nobody's coming. It's just me. Like, just sit with it, understand it. It goes all the way deep down to your shadow work. That is between you and yourself. Every part of yourself, your past self, your higher self, your present self, it's all about yourself at that point in time. And it's not even like in a selfish type of way. Like, this is the most selflessness thing you can do is work on yourself.
Let me add to that. And what it comes down to is accountability. Because it's easy to say, well, I did this because of X, Y, and Z. This person triggered me. But when you take out what other people do, your reaction is all that matters when it comes down to you. And a lot of times, you know, we just try to blame other people for our actions or our responses, you know, to feel better. But it doesn't matter because you're not healing yourself that way. And I remember having a conversation with my mentor, and he was like, I want you to go home and make a list of things that you did, and I want you to confront it. And that was the most painful shit I had ever did. And yes, I did it by myself, you know, in my bathroom. I was writing on the mirror the list of things that I did. And to write that stuff knowing I did that was painful. If I was in this again, how would I handle it to not react like that, to not respond like that, to not think like that? What would that higher version of myself actually look like? So I don't think it's a specific way for anyone. I think it's about getting really real with self, whatever that looks like, wherever that is for you. If for you is in nature, if for you is painting, or if for you is meditating in your living room. It looks different for everyone, but it comes down to accountability and really just, okay, yeah, people triggered me, but this was my response, something I could have controlled.
Right. Sparkle? Oh. Sparkling. Speaking facts. But yeah, that all ties back into karma though. Like, cause it's just like when you do work on yourself, then it's like what you're putting out in the world is good and everything like that. And of course, you're not going to be 100% good. Like, every time you grow, there's going to be another thing that you're like, okay, let me unlock this. That used to be good a few years ago. That's no longer good for what your environment, what you're attracting, what you're wanting, because everything changes. Like, that's my favorite thing, like I say, is change. Like, I love change. I love that everything can change in an instance. But, again, the thing that we have the security in is ourselves. So as long as you get back to the root of it, which is yourself, and where can I go from here? There's nothing that can get in your way in that. There's nobody that can get in your way in that, because like she said, going back, going to the mirror, doing with yourself, like, it's ugly. Especially when you like you getting to those negative things and you're just like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault. Like, she took it the wrong way, like, or something.
Yeah.
But it's like, it really was. Like, you really put it out there like that. That's how they took it. And we're going back to the accountability. Where are you taking the fault in? Like, what can you do here for it to never happen again? And also, how can you rectify it if that's something that you want to salvage? Like,
you kind of talked about that earlier.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's divine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
That was a good question. You got questions?
Taking questions. Questions. We put her on the spot.
Right. I have a question. Oh. You do? Do you have one?
No, I'll tell you if I remember it.
Okay. I have a question if you want to answer.
I have an answer. Maybe.
So we're going back to karmic cycles, and we're saying we want to break some karmic cycles. How do you know when something is showing up from like something that you've learned that this is a karmic cycle? I no longer need this in my life. I have to break this. But it kind of like, because sometimes it can creep through or come back. How are you dealing with that? Or what do you do where you're like, oh, this is this, instead of like falling back down like into the cycle? Like, what do you do?
Usually for me, they come back in triggers. And I don't know. I've been so blessed. I really feel like the universe has given me time to really heal. And I'm grateful for that. And I remember I had a reading done. Like, I get readings done every once in a while. And she was straight like, yeah, X, Y, and Z is about to happen. And you're going to have to know how to handle it. Because, you know, you're doing a great job in your healing process. I did not tell her I was in a healing process or anything. And she was like, but you're going to start to run into X, Y, and Z problems. And I kid you not, that weekend, I ran into like 3 issues where I was triggered and I was, ready to spaz out. Right. Now, one of them I did kind of, and then the other 2, I was more calm about it. But it triggered me so much internally. Like, my mind went down a rabbit hole. Like, I didn't necessarily respond outwardly, but internally it triggered me, like, from stuff from my past. So I started spiraling down, which let me know, hey, you still need to work. You got to work. Get to work.
Yeah.
So when stuff like that happens, I always ask for clarity from the universe, and I ask for courage to be able to work through it. So I'm glad I was triggered because it showed me, hey, you still need to tighten up in this area. So like I said, I went back, meditated, talked to my therapist about it, and I journaled. And then, I just set my intentions. I worked through stuff. I set my intentions, so when it happens again, like, I know I'm clear on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I'm in a space right now where I'm letting myself know that it's okay. Like, when I do get triggered or something comes up, like, letting myself know that there is growth within it, because I'm not staying in it for a long time. But I'm also accepting the fact that I am a person who does need to, like, feel it for at least a moment. And then, like, recognize, okay, this is what it is. This is what's happening. But I still need to feel it. Like, I had to recognize that within myself. But I had to recognize I don't need to stay in it. Yeah. I can feel it, but I don't need to stay in it.
Right.
So that's where I'm at right now with that.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And not staying in it. And I'm just saying this for our listeners. But, like, not staying in it doesn't mean that you're avoiding it.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Right. Like, can you explain what you mean by that a little bit?
Let's just give an example. I dated someone, and they came back around, and I allowed them to come back around.
Not they spent the block.
They spent the block, and I let them spin the block. It's crazy. It's crazy. Might do it again tomorrow. No.
Oh, I hope they're not listening.
Right. But in that spinning the block, it triggered me because some of it was familiar, but a lot of it was different. But I stood in the familiar side of it, and I stayed in it for a while. I was just kind of like, this feels familiar, this is wrong, like, and everything like that. But I kind of like made that mask the entire thing, and it put me in a mindset and a mind space of like, I have not had any healing on this, which I have. Like, I put in the work. I've done so much about it. Like, I've set boundaries. I did everything that I needed to do. But I stood in the familiar side of it. And that was the biggest trigger for me. And that was what I knew that I needed to work, is because if I'm going to be willing to let certain things go, let it go. If you're not wanting to let it go, then don't do what you're doing. Like, you know, don't be open to it. You know how, like, some people change or some people never change? I give everybody the room and opportunity to grow. And I believe you 100%. Right. Because if I would want that same thing, because if I'm really genuinely working on myself and I'm not doing this or I'm not doing anything, I wouldn't want you to put that on me, because you're projecting on me. You have to hold yourself accountable that you're also, like, being detrimental to somebody else's growth. When you're like, man, you used to do this, or you always do this, or, you know, and it's like, that's not them. Like, they're not doing that. And they're being completely honest with you because they sat and they did the work, just like you wanted them to. Yeah. So
she preaching, y'all.
I think for that scenario, I feel like it was, I have to take accountability. Like I said, I stood in it for too long. I had a lack of trust in myself. Yeah. Because it's just like, I did the healing, I did the work. So I thought, but.
And you probably did, but the universe was just showing you, hey, you still have pieces. You still have,
exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And it is okay. And I appreciate those moments. Like, those are the moments I'm thankful for, because it's just like when you think that you completely got rid of something or a feeling or an attribute about yourself, and it comes up again, and then it's like, here's your time to show. Like, you're either gonna fold or you're gonna do what you know. And sometimes you fold, and that's just to show you, here you go. Like,
that's human.
Yeah,
I think we should all forgive people for the things that they've done. I'm guessing you said spin the block, so we talking about a relationship. You know, like, it's 100% okay to forgive people for the things that they've done, no matter how much they may have hurt you. No matter how wrong you were or how wrong they were or whatever the case is. I believe forgiveness is important, because karma, what you put out is what you get back, energy. So exactly. I'm going to forgive you regardless. That doesn't mean I have to ever let you back in.
Correct.
If you choose to spin the block.
That was real. That was real.
No.
Real harsh. Don't come back, girl.
No, I'm playing. Okay. I see a lot of people fall into that. And it's like, forgiveness does not mean that you have to be friends, or even if somebody, let's just say they did change. You could have changed, and I still don't have to accept you back. For sure. But I forgive you. For sure. And I let you go in love and peace.
For sure. I definitely think it's depends on the circumstance. Yeah. I definitely think that. But I do believe that you should forgive everybody. And I don't think that you need to tell the person that you're forgiving if you're forgiving them. If you're in a space that you don't want to speak to them or no longer want them in your life, I think that you should forgive them and let them go with love and light. Yeah. And always want the best for everybody and people, because that goes back to the beginning of this conversation, is that karma.
Like, I love that she said that, because I hear a lot of people just, wish their friends, family, exes, whoever, like, bad. And it's just like, why? You're wishing them bad. You're wishing yourself bad. Exactly. Right? You have to send love and light and peace to people. Whether they are doing that, it's up to them. That's their life. But all I can do is wish people love, light and peace, because what I put out is what I'm going to get back. And I want to see people fail. I just think that says a lot about your character. And I get it. Some people have really hurt you. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, your vibration has to be higher. We got a question, y'all.
Oh, as y'all said, everything goes back to self. And forgiveness is important. So do you think that you can beget your own bad karma by, like, not forgiving yourself?
Do you want to answer, or you want
You can go first.
Going back to like some stuff we said earlier, like, everything is energetic. So if you're having that energy of, like, the guilt, the guilt and not forgiving like, all of those things, like, you did bad, it's just lingering around you and on you, like, all of that stuff attracts anything that is associated with it. Like, it keeps coming and it's coming and it's coming, and it's just like, you don't understand the root of it until you figure out, this is what it was. And I'm not forgiving myself for this. Like, because especially if you know that there's nothing else kind of going on outside of that. Like, I've forgiven this person, but you haven't forgiven yourself. Because I feel like with forgiveness comes with all of that. Like, and even when somebody did you so dirty, you still have to forgive yourself, even if you didn't do anything, because you have to forgive yourself for allowing that to happen to you. Allowing that happening to you, allowing for this energy to be a part of me for this amount of time. And you didn't deserve that, self. Like, you didn't deserve that, because that's not what we wanted.
Yeah. I had to go through a space where I had to forgive myself. The reason I talk about the subconscious mind a lot is because what is imprinted in your subconscious becomes reality. The energy that you put out is what you get back. So if you're stuck on guilt and, what else you said? Guilt, pain.
Not forgiving yourself. Just like, all those things. Yeah.
To me, it's just that low vibrational stuff. It just feels it feels like tar. It's holding you down, You will continue to attract that into your life. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, if you do receive something good, you cannot accept it because of the guilt that you actually hold. You might be able to deal with it. You can deal with it, but you're not going to be able to fully accept and embrace anything when you're not in a pure state of yourself.
That was a good question, though.
That was a great question.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I guess to kind of wrap it up, karma is energy that you put out. What you put out is what you get back. Always put out peace, love, light, happiness, forgiveness, anything that you would like to receive, courage. Just you have to put that out into the universe. You have to become that, right? I don't recommend anyone wish bad on people, because wishing bad is just, you're in such a low vibrational space, and it's like that's the space that's going to come back to you. It's low vibrational. Things might not always show in the physical form, right? Sometimes we look at people and we be like, oh, they look good. They can look good all they want. You don't know what's going on here and at home, right? You don't know the battles that they're fighting. And a lot of battles that we fight here could really be won if we will put more positivity into the universe and into our focus.
Yeah.
So, you have any last words or pieces of advice?
I think in the simplest way, we've been taught this since we were younger, and some people don't take it with them, but that whole, like, what goes around comes back around. That's that karma. You just got to put out what you want back, and that's the only thing that you're going to get. Like, it goes into work, it goes into love, it goes into friendships, family, yourself. Put in the work, and it's going to meet you right back. Back to the universal law, it's no other way. Like, if you're doing the work, you're going to get rewarded, because that's just what it is. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. And you have to genuinely put it out. It's not just a feeling like, I feel like this today, I feel like that tomorrow. Like, no, you have to embody that 100%.
And you'll feel it. It's within your aura. It's within your essence. It's within the way you move, the way you speak. It's there.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining another episode. I hope you took something away. I hope you learned something. If you didn't learn anything, thank you for just listening. Again, these are our opinions. This is from our personal experiences. I do recognize that these kind of topics are sensitive, which is okay. Everybody has their own belief system and how they process it. So if anything, hopefully you got a new perspective. Like, comment, subscribe, and
post notifications.
All right. Until next time, we'll see you guys.